Welcome to this new pick a card, everyone. My name is Ellie, and I'm so very humbled to be your guide for this reading. Today, we are exploring the topic of trauma healing, and I just felt like talking a little bit about my opinions on the subject because I've seen many people talking about trauma very differently in the community, and I find this exchange of thoughts very interesting. And of course, I just want to take this moment as well to mention that I'm not a therapist in any way, you guys. And, my readings are not supposed to serve as a replacement for therapy. However, I do feel that a reading can be a very good complementary session to the therapy you're already doing, to the work you're already doing with yourself or with another specialist, right? So I know that for some people, the word trauma is a very big and extreme one. And even some people think that this term is overused sometimes or that it should only be used in a diagnosis circumstance. And I definitely get that. And personally, I just don't think that it's anyone's job to be the police of trauma. So I'm surely not here today to do any of that because I do think that when we do that, it can invalidate sometimes the experiences that others are having. Plus, not everybody has the chances, or the resources or the means to go get a diagnosis or to go get some professional therapy. And so I do trust in everybody's singular judgment for when it comes to that. You freaking know down in your bones if something was profoundly impacting for you. And while something may have profoundly affected you, it might have not been the case for someone else that has been through the same stimulation as you, and vice versa, right? So to me, in my own opinion, there are no traumas that are more important, that are more greater than any other trauma, just because we're all affected in different ways. And in my own opinion, nobody else should have actually the right to tell you how to feel about what happened to you in your life, about some major event in your life that was difficult for you to go through. And for me, I'm more so in a school of thought that believes that trauma is actually very common. I don't think that trauma is a very rare thing. I wouldn't say that everybody necessarily has traumas or is traumatized, but I will say, however, that if you have lived enough on this earth, then you will probably go through some form of it eventually. Trauma is like a wound to the soul that is so deeply imprinted in our nervous system that sometimes will get triggered, right, by certain circumstances in our life. That nervous system will then answer to certain triggers. And if somebody has lived enough on this earth to not have any sort of kind of trauma, I would really love to meet that person, man, because they must be so freaking interesting to talk to, and I would like to take a look at their birth chart because I really wonder how they do it. Because we all have deep weaknesses and we all have triggers, and I think that because of that, trauma is just another part of life, just kind of like fear is a part of life, just like joy is a part of life. Just like stress and anxiety sometimes will be a part of life, and the tragedies and the blessings and the accidents. I do think that trauma is a part of it all because in this lifetime, we will go through certain things that sometimes will rock our vibration from left to right, and it's all normal to me. And I feel that it's a lesson to learn how to overcome these challenges. Now, does it mean that we have to stay traumatized for the rest of our lives? Of course not. And I do think that for some people, trauma is really what is inhibiting them from living in a normal life. And trauma is something that I believe we can work through and eventually process and eventually heal. And this reading today will not be the fix it all of that. It's not going to be the magic potion to any of that work. However, hopefully, this reading will give you some kind of starting ground or starting point for some of you that feel called to it today. So, of course, I won't have enough pals to address all of the traumas that may exist. However, I do hope that for some people that will be called in here, it could be a great starting point to lay a foundation for that healing process to start to occur. In a moment, you will have the different piles on the screen, and I will ask you to really take the time to ground yourself and to reel your energy back in and connect to your intuition, to choose one of the piles that you resonate with the most. And once that choice is done, head down into the description box down below and click on a timestamp associated with your pile, and I shall meet you on your reading. welcome into your reading pile 1. Let's go on ahead and take a look at this trauma energy that your spirit is wanting to get rid of. And then after that, we're going to jump into your oracle cards towards the end of the reading. So we are starting here with the Hierophant. Then we have for you the King of Swords. And then we have the Two of Pentacles reversed. I'm using the Waite Smith deck today because I don't know why, it's just me, you guys. I just really love my classics. And finally we have for you the Page of Wands. So I've just heard for you, pile 1, cut soul tie with this Two of Pentacles reverse here. There's a soul tie that you have never cut with someone you have been in contact with when you were very, very young, it seems, with this Page of Wands here. And not cutting cords with them is creating a pattern with this Two of Pentacles reverse where this dynamic keeps being replayed elsewhere in your life. And to me, what this looks like is that this tie seems to relate to an early figure of authority in your life, someone that maybe raised you or maybe educated you or maybe was supposed to take care of you. Someone that you thought was trustworthy with the Hierophant and the King of Swords because they were in this position of power or authority over you, or it's kind of like you had no choice. Yeah, to me, it feels like you had no choice. Like this figure was kind of ruling over you, if you will. It was kind of like the higher power at home, if you want. So you may have followed what they were saying for a while in order to get by, in order to survive. And by the way, if some of you still struggle with authority still till this day, maybe that you don't really like to be told what to do or to be directed, or maybe that you have had bad experiences with figure of authorities anywhere else in your life, like at work or elsewhere. Figures of authorities that you did not believe in because they kind of commanded respect, but they did not earn your trust or respect first. So I see here that you're really not easily submissive, and with reason, because it seems to all draw back to this connection that you had with this person early on in your life that made you feel very belittled, is what I'm getting with this Page of Wands here. Like you couldn't believe or think differently on things than that person, or like you couldn't say what you thought, or couldn't show your maturity. It's almost as though this person was there and they saw you grow up and they have set the tone for your relationship with authority that could be difficult to deal with till this day. And to me, it really looks like a strict parent energy with this Hierophant and King of Swords, like a very strict father. This really feels like a father wound here to me. And, for some of you, it could be a mother too, especially if your mother was the dominant figure at home. But it truly feels like a domineering masculine energy stepping through in this reading right away. Really like my way, and you follow my rules. I lay down the law, and this is what you've got to do. And they feel very intimidating to me, even scary, I must say. So I wonder if at some point this person even scared you. And with this Page of Wands here, I don't know as well if some of you used to maybe look up to that figure when you were very small. Maybe that you looked up to this parent when you were very young, but you learn very quickly that you couldn't trust this individual somehow. It's like they wanted you to do what you were told without asking questions. And they may have even taken advantage of the fact that you were younger than them or more impressionable than them, or that you were kind of relying on them to make you more submissive. And I wonder if some of you had to survive a physically or mentally abusive person here. This is very interesting what I'm feeling here. For a lot of you who are on this spell, father could have played a huge role in your early life. They could have been someone very strict, very domineering. And I don't know as well if this father was sometimes a bit self-righteous. at times, because that's what the Hierophant next to this King of Swords feel like to me. They feel like someone that was treated like they could do no wrong, like they were always right, like their way was the supreme way, and maybe that you weren't even allowed to question this individual or to ask them questions, period. Maybe that as soon as you will try to open your mind towards different beliefs, this person will come in and shut you down. And if this is not a parental figure, then you may have grown up in a very strict environment, maybe even a religious environment with this Hierophant here, where you weren't allowed to have your own sets of beliefs or your own different sets of opinions. Um, it almost feels cult-like to see this Hierophant next to the King of Swords here, like very dogmatic in a very alarming way. Yeah, but there is definitely a strong tie here, though, that I keep feeling with this Two of Pentacles reverse for some of you. So I don't know if it's hard. Um, well, I don't know if it's a tie coming from your end or from someone else's hand. It could be both, where it's kind of hard to somehow detach from this person that traumatized you. And from their end, too, it could be really hard for them to not get involved with you somehow. Maybe that you still have to deal with them till this day. And the impact that they had on your childhood is still something that you cannot get over somehow. This Two of Pentacles reversed here, you know, take a look at that. Like, this is a character here that is juggling these two pentacles that are bound to each other. But since this card came out reversed for you, it's letting me know that these two pentacles here, they cannot work together somehow. It's like they cannot coexist together. So you and this paternal figure, like let's call it this paternal figure, all right? This figure of authority, let's call it this way. It's like you were on one page and this person was on another one completely. And it's very difficult to meet each other on that sort of equal stance, or maybe that the relationship has always felt off because it's like this person is very opposite than you. And with the Two of Pentacles reverse as well, this person may have made it very hard for you to be able to relate to them in a ways that they never were the one that would say, I am sorry, I am wrong, I fucked up. It's like there is a lot of pride here coming in a way of being able to have a real, authentic connection with that person. And maybe as well that they made it super hard for you to earn their approval or to earn validation and respect from them as well, where you felt like you had to be on your wits' end, juggling on one foot and almost twisting yourself into a pretzel for them to finally earn recognition from them. I also get the sense that this person always had a rigid sort of judgment over some of the things that you loved or some of the things that you connected with this Page of Wands here. And I'm saying that because both the Hierophant and the King of Swords as a wound can definitely manifest as a person that tried to convert you kind of in their own ways and in their own views or beliefs about life. And I don't think that you ever bought into it with this Two of Pentacles reverse. I think that you actually tried to reject it, but it still hurt to never feel approved by this individual or to always be the one that was talked down on and reprimanded. Like you can never be right to them. And this Hierophant and King of Swords, they feel almost patriarchal as well, like very old school, very old fashioned. So I don't know if some of you maybe grew up in an environment where the adults around you carried on with those very traditional roles, or like, you know, like kind of like the men can never be wrong, or the men are always served first, you know, or maybe that when the men speak, everybody has got to stop talking and listen to them and stuff like that. And it's like you can argue with them. But I'm saying that because with this Hierophant and Two of Pentacles reverse, it also feels like a generational clash almost But this really seems like a wounded masculine here that I'm picking up with these cards. I also want to say as well that this Two of Pentacles reverse feels like a transfer of energy in between a person and someone else. So for some of you, this person has got their masculine wounded by someone else before that was on top of them, and they wounded your own masculine in return. It's quite wild. And so it's kind of like this cycle continuing. And I just want to say that it always feels harder to approach someone or to relate to someone or to respect someone that always act from that pedestal towards us. And I'm saying that from experience here. Like, you don't even have to go through any sort of like psychological or physical, domination or violence. Like, just someone that acts with you from that lack of equality and that lack of respect. It's very hard to interact normally with these kind of people. We cannot have authentic relationships with people that cannot take the truth outside of their own. And to me, I never understood why certain people, just because they're the one responsible, or they are the one older, or they are the one educating, or they are the parent, how they feel like it gives them the right to overlook the person that is younger or that is still learning. And it never made sense to me how children and teenagers are always removed so much like intellectual credibility, like because they have less experience, then it must mean, right, that they don't know what's going on. And I just think that it's crap. And I'm saying that here because with this Page of Wands, it's this feeling of being belittled that I cannot get over. Like, you were surrounded by people that were older than you that made you feel very misjudged. And I don't know, Pawan, if growing up you have been surrounded by parents or grandparents as well that maybe kept feeling jaded or very judgy with the things that you loved or the things that you resonated with or the things that you found interesting. Maybe it wasn't even allowed from you to even connect with anything that you resonated with. It's that classic, like, in my day, it was better. In my day, things were right and things were so pure and we work harder and, things were more interesting. It's like I get this sense with this Page of Wands that you really don't want to end up like these kinds of people yourself. And you're really trying to keep your heart and your spirit young because you really suffered from people that had this kind of attitude when you were younger too. You're trying to keep yourself enthusiastic and open-minded. Like I've said, it's like you and this other kind of individual were opposite, complete opposite. And I feel that this trauma here with this figure of authority that tried to bend you to their will, because that's what it feels like to me. Like they were trying to make you submissive, basically in any way possible, either by talking you down, either by even being physically aggressive with you. For some of you, they also made you feel very misinterpreted quite often with this Two of Pentacles reverse and Page of Wands, almost as though they would assume that you didn't know anything or didn't know better for yourself. Maybe that they had decided that because you were younger or that because you had a curious, passionate personality, a different kind of personality with this Page of Wands here, or had different aspirations than them, maybe you didn't have a gateway into what this person understood. And I just keep feeling that this person was very, very wrong about you. Let's take a look at your oracle cards, you guys, and see what you've gotten as messages of healing. So we have, look at this, you guys. You are enough. Yes, you are. Don't listen to that crap here. We have the card of introspection. Then we have kindness. I'm sorry, by the way, if I'm like trying to like hide my hand and, be very active with my left hand. I just got this fresh tattoo over here and I'm just letting my hand heal right now. Then we have barriers. And finally, we have the card, You Can Do Hard Things, from the Inner Child Oracle deck. And this card says, there are many things in life that we feel we cannot or should not have to do, but we must be careful of what we place in these categories, for maturity often lies on the other side. Take time today to think upon the beliefs that might be holding you back. Are you putting yourself in a box by what you cannot or should not have to do? Yeah, be really, really careful of who you decide to listen to. Pawan. Because now that you've grown up, you have more distance and perspective from what happened in the past with this person, and you are smart. You have more perspective now, about how true these statements that were made about you are. You know better what is good for you, what you are meant for, what you are deserving of. I keep feeling that there is some sort of narrative or voice in your head that you have to shut down here. It's kind of like a deconditioning process from everything you have witnessed and suffered from in your past, in that past where you weren't allowed to think what you wanted to think or believe in the things that you wanted to believe in. And this voice that you will have to shut down, it may sometimes manifest into your own thoughts, doubts, and fears, and other times it may even manifest through someone else in a way that they talk to you that will trigger back those memories of feeling like an incapable child all over again, that never feel like they are enough for the adults around them, that feel misunderstood. It's going to trigger back the same speech that was served against you as well in your childhood by this person that tried to tame you or make you submissive. And Pawan, this is all the same voice. It all comes from this one singular place. And this voice is not even yours to begin with. This voice is the preaching that happened then. It's the programming that this person tried to implement in you. It's the one of that parent or that figure of authority in your life that constantly made you feel like you weren't enough, like things would not work out for you, like you would never be able to accomplish certain things or become your own independent individual outside of them, outside of who they were, or outside of the tribe, whatever this could be. And it all comes back to this person's belief about their own self that got transferred onto you. And I feel like it's about you rejecting that, you not accepting that for yourself. I feel that this person was afraid to see you branch out and go on your own, or go your own separate way, or succeed in life, or get somewhere in your life, Pawan, like get somewhere different than they ended up at, where they ended up at. I feel like your passion, your enthusiasm, your optimism with this Page of Wands here intimidated that person. And I feel that it's because this individual kept their own selves locked away from doing so many things in life that they wish they could have done. And they kind of live in that regret. So now how they cope with that regret is through this sense of control that they cannot let go of. And they are afraid to see you do it without them because they never allowed themselves to. And they are so afraid to have made a mistake with their life. It's again that pride that I sense here with them, where if they were to admit that they were wrong for once, or that they did not have all of the answers, or that their belief was wrong, like it didn't work, it would put back into question all of their life choices. And this person here, I feel, is so afraid to introspect, to put themselves and their beliefs back into question. It's like they can't admit that they are just like everyone else and that they are flawed too. They're flawed human beings, just like the rest of us. They are not protected from doing their mistakes, But it scares the shit out of them because then it will also mean that they don't have control over their life as much as they thought. And I feel like this person, they really have a hard time accepting that there are these things in life we cannot always control or own or possess, or we can't always know everything, right? I feel that ultimately, with this card of barriers here and kindness as well, this person wounding you and wounding your inner child was actually a lesson of boundaries for you, Pawan, and a lesson about kind of like what this Two of Pentacles reverse said here, learning how to separate what belongs to another person and their life and your life and the person that you are, with the different capacities, the different personality and beliefs that you have. Because you and them are two completely different entities. And how they choose to live their life is their own business. You have no power and control over that, right? You have no power and control about how people view, about this person views either, right? And it serves no one to waste so much time trying to convince them, out of their mindset. Because I feel this is what this person has tried to do, right? And if you were to repeat that with them, it will kind of mean like they've won, right? But they didn't win. You have no power or control about how this person views you either. However, you do have control over what you will accept as a behavior from people. And you have a choice as to how, moving forward, if they're still in your life, how you want them to address you. Because if they are to be kept in your life, then they need to respect you. And everybody has a different definition of what respect means to them personally and what that will look like, from person to person, which is why you have to place your boundaries, Pawan, and express to this person what it means to you to be treated with respect and with kindness. Because this trauma here feels like an abuse of power. It literally feels like that. Like the way that someone talked to you or treated you in your early life is still the way you could sometimes treat your own self back in return and talk to your own self in your mind. And you have to now place a boundary and create a separation in between that, in between the past and how people treated you or talked to you, and now moving on how you wish to treat yourself and speak to yourself. You need to create that separation in between the voice of that individual and your voice and how you wish to talk to yourself from now on. Let's check your last oracle cards, you guys. We have here the Mars in Cancer, and it says here quarrel. That's the fourth house. Interesting. And we have here that's Saturn in Virgo and its riches in the 10th house. Wow, boy, oh boy. There's a lot coming through me with that. So definitely with that 10th house and 4th house energy, really feels like a parent or like some kind of family member, maybe a step parent as well, or it's just because of that Saturn energy. Like Saturn in astrology, it often represents the relationship to the father. But it's interesting because I kept talking about a figure of authority here, and Saturn in astrology rules authority, actually, and the lessons we came to learn, moral obligations, the responsibilities, right? And it's funny because Saturn as well shows where we will need to create boundaries in life, and we have the card of boundaries here. So, and with this card of quarrel, that's exactly how I felt about the Two of Pentacles being reversed, where it's like you and this father figure, or you or and this person that was kind of trying to father you, that was trying to control you or be the top dog of you. It's like you and them didn't get along with each other. You came from one planet and this other individual, they came from another one. It could even be some kind of sibling rivalry as well that I'm picking up here, especially if some of you are the youngest child and you had to deal with a very dominant sibling that kept like squashing you. And I also feel a lot of pressure here with this 10th house energy. The pressure to make it out successfully in the world, a pressure to become someone, a pressure to perhaps impress the person or to be able to live up to their expectations of you. Maybe that this person tried as well to make you like them, or maybe that they tried to live their dreams through you. You know, kind of like some parents that always dreamed that they could be a singer or an actor or a doctor, for example, but they never got to live that dream. And so they push and project it on their children to kind of, they kind of push their children to become what they wanted to become at some point. I keep feeling that this person, it's like they had planned out your life or the future that you were supposed to live, the way you would become at an early age. And that's why you feel like you can't ever be enough to them because you can't be the person that they wish you could be. You never could be that person. Pawan, it's this person's trauma, not yours. I keep feeling in this reading like you are dealing with a wound that does not even belong to you. That's why this Two of Pentacles is reversed here. You know, that's why there's this boundary energy here and this message about separating your energy from that of this other person because they were once wounded. They are trying to hurt you in the same way. It's like, breaking the leg of someone because you've got your own leg broken by someone else. It's like they have been mirroring their own wounds, their own hurts onto you. And it's about refusing to take any of that anymore, especially now that you are old enough and are experienced enough to know better for yourself and to know that this was never about you and there wasn't anything ever wrong about you. And I don't care if you're 16 years old, 30 years old, or 50 years old coming into that realization. Like, there is no age to come into, illumination and understanding of our experience. There is no age to come into more experience and maturity. There's just arriving where you're supposed to arrive at the time you're ready. And we are constantly maturing and gaining more experience and perspective anyway. And so it's never too late to heal. It never really is. It's never too late to, reflect back and understand what has happened from an other angle too. So this is about refathering yourself, Pawan, and becoming your very own authority figure in this life that won't be told what to do and how to live your life. Because at the end of the day, you live for you and you only. And it doesn't even matter who agrees with you or not because you have to lock into your frequency. That's what we do when we are refathering ourselves, actually. We lock our energy, we lock our frequency. We're locking into that inner knowing of ourselves and of what our limits are, what our limits are going to be, and that we won't let anybody fuck with. We are locking into our own philosophy of life and our own values and wisdom. And we lead our life with that, with confidence and with conviction. I feel that this is where you are in your healing journey. You're becoming more and more comfortable with this kind of rebellion, but it's normal that it's going to feel very confrontative at first, right? With this card of the quarrel here. I feel that you are just not used to state your needs in that way that is very direct and forward. You're once in your truth, without being squashed. But I'm telling you, the more comfortable you get in doing that, the more power you are going to wield in your life. Pawan, I hope that this reading could be the starting point of a deeper introspection and healing process. I want to thank you so much for having shared sacred space with me today, and I hope that we will cross paths again soon. If some of you have been interested to take a look at my work and maybe book a private reading with me, the links to all of that will be down below, as well as my social medias if you want to keep in touch. And otherwise, I shall see you all soon in the next video. Bye bye, you guys. Hello, pal 2. Welcome to your reading. Let's go on ahead and take a look at this trauma energy that your spirit is wanting to get rid of. And then after that, we're going to jump into your oracle card, sorry, at the towards the end of the reading. So let's see what you guys have gotten. We have the King of Cups. Then we have the Three of Swords reversed. I'm using the Rider-Waite Smith Tarot deck, by the way, you guys, today. I don't know why, it's just I really love my classics. I really channel good with these cards. And this is the Three of Cups reversed. And finally, we have the Nine of Wands reversed. I see here a wall that you have built around yourself and around your emotions, Baltu. And I see a promise that you have made with yourself that you won't ever be that naive anymore. So who hurt you? Damn. With this King of Cups and Three of Swords reverse and Three of Cups reverse, this feels like trust and generosity that has been abused. Like your kindness has been abused. And I get this energy here of like a repeated offender, like someone you gave a second chance to that you regret having forgiven, like someone that kept crossing the limits over and over and over again, taking advantage of your big heart and of your innocence, almost as though they knew that you would forgive them, or that they knew that you wouldn't come back for them, or maybe that they knew how to sweet talk their way out with you, where each time that you would come back to them, questioning them about certain things, questioning them about their ethics or what they will do or about what they did, they will always find a way out. And I don't think that you resent this individual as much as you resent yourself for having allowed them to treat you like they did under your radar, or when you knew that something felt wrong from the beginning. With this Three of Swords reverse here, this Three of Swords reverse to me feels like I went against my own better judgment because of my heart and because of how I felt about you and because I loved you. I decided to go against the logic of things and I ended up regretting it. And next to this King of Cups, to me, it almost feels like you've allowed certain missteps or mistakes to slide away because you really wanted to believe in the best and in the highest of that individual, or you really wanted to believe in the best and highest of this relationship. Maybe that you really cared about this person or saw the good in them. And that's why it really, really cut deep when you realize the truth of them. Even if this person gave you all of the reasons not to trust them, I'm going to be very straightforward because I know that this is the case for some of you, but I still think that this message might not be for everybody here on this pal. So I just wanted to mention it really quickly. But for some of you, this is definitely involving some kind of third party here, and you may have caught a partner cheating on you, or it's like if it's not surrounding a romantic relationship for everyone, then that's how you felt yourself in whatever this relationship is. You felt cheated by someone else here. And the King of Cups is someone very loved usually. So I wonder as well if this person was protected by other people around them that really believe that this was a good person, maybe with this Two of Cups reverse. But this King of Cups here is almost breaking my heart because normally the King of Cups is someone very giving, very empathic and understanding, and he's probably the most loyal character of the entire tarot. And I get the sense that this is how you carry yourself in your relationships, Baltu, and it deeply hurt you to have received the sort of treatment that you did for being so open, so mindful and comprehensive. It's like, how could you turn your back on me like this, you know? when the King of Cups cares, he when he cares about something, it's a huge commitment and statement, and he holds it. But I get the sense with this Three of Cups reverse that you did not get the same level of loyalty and genuineness back. I feel that what you resent right now is this King of Cups in you and your ability to be so cooperative and forgiving. And I feel with this Knight of Wands reverse here that you are trying to cut this part from yourself away because you realize that in the past it has made you a vulnerable target for people who didn't have the same level of integrity and the same level of genuineness. It really feels like you have been taken advantage of someone somewhere, pal, too. This King of Cups and Three of Swords reverse and Three of Cups reverse, they keep talking to me about a lack of integrity and morals. Like you expected this person to be this King of Cups, right? And to honor their virtue, to be morally superior than that. I keep feeling that this loyalty and trust was broken by this other individual, and ever since then, you could have had a hard time connecting with others with this Three of Cups reverse and Nine of Wands reverse, and maybe even connecting with yourself. It's like others maybe don't respect and honor trust or integrity and loyalty like you do, and the thing is that you expected so much different from the impression that this person gave you. Maybe because of the reputation that they had or the respect that you once had for them. You really thought that they were who they were saying that they were. You really thought that they were a good person. And what I'm seeing here with this Three of Swords reverse and Three of Cups reverse is that you regret having thought that about them. You regret having seen them as your equal. You regret, having seen in that person a brother, a sister, or a friend, or that they could be a life partner. You regret having thought that they truly loved you and cared for you. Because someone who would care about you would never have played in your back like that or forgotten about the integrity of their relationship with you. Someone who truly cares about you would have never betrayed you like that. And right now, you could really be angry at yourself because you feel like this King of Cups, like the naive person that bought into the scheme. But Paltu, you're not. You're not naive and you're not a fool and you're not weak for having placed your belief and trust in this. The thing is, I really do think that this person, that this trauma concerns, was a very good talker with his King of Cups. That's the shadow of the King of Cups, by the way. He can be a very good manipulator and sweet talker, and he can easily tell someone what they want to hear and get out of problems like that. He is not someone that people tend to suspect. And I do think that they really sold their salad. Like, I feel like this expression sounds better in French. I don't know if you can even say that in English, obviously, but in French we have like an expression for people that are trying to sell a dream, and we say they're trying to sell their salad. I feel like this person was. Like, they were really good at putting doubts inside of your mind and at making you second think yourself. And I even will go as far as to say that I really believe that for some of you, that this person tried some projections methods as well, where maybe that they were guilt tripping you with this Nine of Wands reverse and saying that you are the one that was paranoid or who had a problem, that you were the one that was controlling or who had trust issues, with this Three of Swords here. I don't know what your situation is, but Paltu, you were just reading the signs that something fell off and something was wrong. It's interesting because in love and relationships, people always say, you've got to follow your heart. Love works in mysterious ways, and your feelings aren't always logical, but you feel them for a reason, and yada yada. But like for me personally, like I guess that it's because I've been deeply taken advantage of in my past, because I'm just such a sensitive person, and I really used to hate that about myself. Like I thought that it was making me weak. Like like the Aquarius sun in me and the Aries moon in me would look at my Pisces rising with a side eye, thinking that it was making me weak. And today I joke about that, but I guess that it truly came with maturity, where I understood one day that my big emotions weren't always what I needed to follow. And I don't know if this is concerning a romantic situation or something else, but being a very heart driven individual like yourself, Baltu, with this King of Cups here, I also feel that there was a very harsh lesson about that for you too in this experience where you realized that you couldn't listen to your emotions at the price of your own logic anymore, at the price of what made sense. And vice versa too. Like, I do think that this was also a lesson in listening more to yourself when you feel that something is wrong in a connection and relationship, and allowing that intuition to be stronger than the emotions that someone else is trying to implement in you. Because that's the thing, your logic and intuition has to win as well for when it comes to your emotions. Because in the past, your emotions took over your logic and intuition, and this made it so that you didn't have the best judgment for when it comes to certain people in your life, because you really wanted to give them the benefits of the doubt, is what I'm picking up here. Because you wanted to believe in them or to believe them. You sort of have allowed this person to talk yourself out of the facts that were right there in front of you. So even if your heart knew better, some emotions were too strong and they took you away from saving yourself. And that's what I'm getting with this Two of Swords reverse, is that sometimes you would talk yourself out of the truth about this individual because of how you felt. Oh, okay. So that's why this Three of Cups is reversed for some of you. It's possible that for some of you on this panel, you had people in your life maybe that has warned you, I guess, against this individual. Like maybe that they saw that coming, or maybe that they didn't like the vibe of that person, or some people may have seen them acting in a very inappropriate manner behind your back. And maybe that you regret as well having believed this person over your friends or something like that. Or maybe that someone else even hid the truth of what they witnessed about this person. Maybe that this is a multiple betrayal here, where multiple people betrayed you in this, or where a partner and a friend betrayed you, or something like that. Wow, okay, your trust really got beaten here, Paltsu, and it feels for good reason. Let's check your healing oracle cards now and get more into this. Intuition. Yeah, you gotta listen to that intuition sometimes, you guys. Yeah, see? That intuition is strong and it doesn't lie. We have here follow your bliss. I love that message. Follow your bliss. This is just wholesome. We have here the card nurture. Yeah, so you guys are maybe nurturers. That's what I sense too with this King of Cups here. We have unexpected. And then we have float with the rhythm. This is coming from my inner child oracle deck. And this card says, your body is a wondrous thing, filled with light and love just for you. Create space today to move in tune with your body, finding a space where you can be alone, in silence, with instrumental music. Let your body flow how it desires. Get lost in your rhythms and release any notion of how you can or should move. Do not worry how it may appear. So this is a really beautiful self-care, self-love exercise here. You've got to listen to that intuition. I feel like this was a very big eye opener for you in terms of that, Paltu, for when it comes to vetting people. See, I do feel that there were a lot of intuitive hints that reached out to you at that time about this person and what you felt that they were doing that felt off, or the red flags that you sort of identified on an intuitive level. But with this kind of the unexpected here, I still think that a lot of it was happening behind the shadows. So it's like you could not really verify or make sure that what you were getting was necessarily the truth of what was really going on. But you knew that something made you feel unhappy and uncomfortable for sure, because we have way too many, this healing team here is really following the team of happiness for you. And with what will nurture and take care of you with this kind of nurture here and follow your bliss and flow with the rhythm. It's like a lot of joy was taken out of you in this relationship. And it's like you're finally free in a sense to find your peace. It takes a lot of time to rebuild trust in people after it's been broken. But I do feel that it's very important to forgive yourself most and above all, especially with this card of the unexpected and intuition here, because you felt incensed maybe, but there's still no way you could have known for sure. And all that you did was going based off your feelings and what you felt was right at that time. And how could it be wrong of you to do that? Pound two. I feel that the surprise of this betrayal is what has been difficult for you to get over. And maybe that ever since then, it's been difficult to get yourself just to enjoy your life, enjoy your time with people or with yourself again without, having these second doubts and second thoughts always. The thing is, it's kind of like a spiritual psychosis, like a spiritual paranoia almost. Like the thing is, you didn't expect this person to do what they've done. Now, in hindsight, you may see all of the signs and intuitive hits and things that happen and know that something was wrong about that now, but maybe that back then, while you were still in it, you were so personally involved in all of that that those things got buried in a pile of different feelings because you really wanted to be happy with that other person and you didn't want to get into trouble. And you are simply not to blame, pal, too. So I feel that your healing is in that, in not blaming yourself for the things you have missed or couldn't see back then at the time, and to give yourself the permission to be happy now, and to come to peace now, because all that is important is that you see them for who they are now. Your eyes are open now and you recognize them now. And now you know the signs to look out for when you are not being treated right or when someone around you is not being treated right. And I don't know as well if some of you could be recovering overgivers as well, because we have the card of nurture here. Maybe that with this King of Cups, you used to give a lot and nurture a lot and let yourself be deprived a lot in relationships that couldn't nurture you back. You know what? I keep feeling that there's a great light around you and about you, Paul, too. And there is so much love in your aura and nurturing energy. You guys may be sensitive or natural healers. And I just think that unfortunately, broken, dangerous souls saw that light and they took advantage of that. I keep feeling that. Let's take a look at your last cards. We have here seduction, and that's the 12th house. That Jupiter in Pisces. And we have the card of lust. You guys, I swear, I knew it and I felt it. I knew that this was romantic for some of you. But yeah, this is Venus in Aries. This is associated with the first house. Maybe not all of you, but some people in here, it could be the case about betrayal or, cheating or something like that. Like you were really thinking about this relationship as a promise or as a commitment or as a serious loyal bond. And this person, they were just thinking about their lust and their wants and their desires in the moment. They were just thinking about that instant gratification and happy pill that they could chug in a moment. They were thinking about themselves, first house, not about you. And frankly, they just took life as it came. And maybe that at the beginning, they really thought that they were ready to build something with you and be happy with you if it was romantic. But ultimately, for when it came to a new temptation or opportunity for bliss to present itself, they just took it mindlessly. They weren't even thinking. They were just in their primal body. It's what those cards of lust and seduction are telling me. While you were expecting something honest and caring, they were just kind of living in the moment, it seems, just living in their body. And some of you still feel shocked because you don't know what led this person to act the way that they did. They made an impulsive choice. That's what happened, Paltu. They choose they chose for themselves the moment that they gave in to that feeling of temptation that presented itself. This shiny thing that was in front of them. And they weren't thinking about the future, about the consequences, or about how that would impact you. All of the pain that they caused you, your difficulty to rebuild your trust in others, I don't even think that they realized the extent of it, as it wasn't necessarily what they sought in a moment. They were just in their body and in the moment, and they weren't thinking when they did the betrayal that they did or when they made the mistake. They were in that instant gratification space. And that is so dangerous when we're acting from that space of instant gratification. Like, I think that couples, relationships that could really work are broken because of instant gratification. I think that real opportunities are sabotaged because of it. Hell, I think that wars got started because of instant gratification. Like, that's how bad I think it is in our world. Like, I think that millions of people suffered because of it, or many people even died because of it. When you act out of instant gratification, you will eventually end up paying for it because you will attract outcomes and situations that you didn't think it through or didn't prepare for or didn't even wanted. When we lack awareness like that of ourselves, it's really going to impact the people closest to us. And I think that it left you feeling so lost and so broken with this Three of Swords here. I feel like the key to healing this is really forgiving yourself, Baltu. If you can't forgive that individual yet for having done what you thought was best at the time. And if it was romantic, by understanding that some people will make tons of different promises to you in this lifetime, and not all of them will be ready to fulfill them. It's not going to even be in some people's journey to be able to fulfill them. And ultimately, I feel that this is about accepting that and letting this story go, and to keep following what your bliss in this life is, to keep doing the things that make you feel happy, and to look out for what could bring you joy elsewhere. And because this person failed to take that opportunity to create joy with you, doesn't mean that others will pass on their chance. Everybody has to mature and learn in their own time and in their own way. And I feel that intuitively, you already understand that. You have this understanding that this person has their own light and their own shadow, and they were wrestling with their shadow when they were in your life, obviously. And I feel that there's nothing to take in with you or for you to understand more here, truly. Like, there's nothing to understand about yourself in this situation. That's why this Nine of Wands here is reversed. Like, there's nothing to internalize about this situation because it's about observing it for exactly what it is. And this person has just made that choice for themselves to give in to their lowest selves, to give in to something mindlessly. And sooner or later, they will make their lesson out of it. And hopefully they will mature from it. But you have to keep doing your job here, Paltu, which is to just keep following your bliss, to keep following what makes you happy and what makes life a beautiful journey and experience for you. And forgetting about this person's choice to pass on that. You know that saying the best revenge is to live a happy and accomplished life? Like, that's your energy here in this healing journey. You have to take care of you and of your own happiness now. But it's really important to not take on this journey of internalizing the behavior of someone else and the consequences that they brought upon their own selves when it's not even your lesson to make here because you weren't at fault. All right? But pal two, I hope that this reading could be the starting point of a deeper introspection and healing process. I want to thank you so much for having shared sacred space with me, and I hope that we will cross paths soon again. If some of you have been interested to take a look at my work and maybe book a private reading with me, the links to all of that will be down below and the description box, as well as my social medias if you just want to keep in touch with me. And otherwise, I shall see you all soon in the next video. Bye bye, guys. Hello, pal 3, and welcome to your reading. So let's go on ahead and take a look at this trauma energy that your spirit is wanting to get rid of. And then after that, in the second section of the reading, we're going to jump ahead and reveal your oracle cards. So yeah, let's get started. You guys have received the Four of Pentacles. And then we have the Page of Pentacles. And then next up we have the Six of Pentacles. And by the way, I'm using the Waite Smith deck today for this reading, you guys. I just felt like it was right somehow for this reading. And then finally we have for you the Eight of Swords. So I don't know why, but I had this strange feeling that pile 3 would kind of be darker than the other piles somehow. And not to say that there are traumas that are necessarily worse than others, because what traumatizes me might not traumatize you. How a situation affects me might not affect you in the same way, etc. But something about the frequency of this pile, even before I started shuffling the cards for you guys, was already sort of preparing me for something heavy. And you know what? Those cards kind of explain why. Because with this Four of Pentacles, what this is telling me is that something that was yours has sort of gotten the interest of this Page of Pentacles character over here. It kind of got the attention of someone else. And I don't know if some kind if this is talking about some kind of blackmail or scam situation here. It's kind of this person that found an opportunity or took advantage of the situation to take this thing away from you, or they found a way perhaps to make you actually give it to them with the Six of Pentacles against your desire with this Four of Pentacles and Eight of Swords. And there is a very guarded energy about my pile 3. And it feels like a physically guarded energy. So you may be the type of person that responds physically to the cues of your trauma. And I feel that it's because someone took something away from you before. Do you see how this person here on the Four of Pentacles is kind of trying to protect what is theirs? And then this Page of Pentacles gets along, right? He comes along, and they see one of these pentacles that the guy here on the Four of Pentacles is holding. And he's kind of like, wow, I want that. You know, this could be mine if I wanted to. And then we have the Six of Pentacles here, where there are people begging on their knees for what this person can give them, you know, for a bit of money here that this guy can give them. It's almost like someone used money or something else that they had to maybe manipulate you or keep you around or control you. Or they could have taken advantage of the fact that you really needed something from them with the Six of Pentacles here and Page of Pentacles to get something that they wanted from you out in return. And maybe that from your end, it was like doing what you needed to do in order to survive or in order to get by. It's almost as though you were depending on this person or you needed them for some reason. Maybe that this person was the one supposed to take care of you. And it's like they took advantage of the fact that your back was against the wall and that you had no other choice or no other option here with this Eight of Swords but to give them what they wanted, to give them everything that they wanted from you. Boy, I'm so sorry about that, Bal 3. I can feel with those cards. I'm a clairsentient, you guys. That's how I normally receive most of my messages in these readings. And what I feel here with this Eight of Swords and Four of Pentacles is total fear. Like, total fear to lose everything, or total fear that you will be taken advantage of again, that you will be taken from again. I get the sense that this person wanted to be needed by you and it gave them a sense of control. And I'm not sure if you had no choice but to keep leaning on them, either because you were financially attached to them, maybe with this with all of those pentacles actually, because pentacles, they speak about resources, right? Or maybe that you were too young to be able to, fend for yourself and to find other means to take care of yourself. Maybe that this person was in charge of you at a certain point. Or again, like I was saying, they really had you squeezed in the corner with this Eight of Swords where there was no issue, where there was no exit. There were no different options. It's like you had to cope with the fact that you needed to face this person or this situation all over again. And I'm also picking up that this person was very blind to their selfishness in this situation with this Four of Pentacles, this Page of Pentacles, and Six of Pentacles. They were just looking at what they could gain from you or could have from you, and they were acting with their own interests in mind. And those pentacles here are telling me that this was very strategically calculated. So it could have been premeditated or it could have happened over a certain span of time where maybe this abuse kept happening and was going on. And someone taking advantage of their power to gain something out of you. Ew, like this energy here is just nasty. If this was some kind of family member type of situation where maybe you were depending on them, or if this was a situation with a boss or a coworker, or just if it was a person that could help you at the time where you were down on your knees and where you were very in need, like the people here on this Six of Pentacles, right? Desperate for a bit of help for anything that they can get, then I can kind of really understand why you felt obliged to this person for a while, Pal 3. And I mean, it really does not excuse them, okay? And so I hope that you don't take it the wrong way because that's not what I mean at all. Um, but you know how people sometimes make that intellectual shortcut where it's like, well, if this person was beating you or abusing you or mistreating you, then why did you stay with them, or why did you stay, holding on to them? Why didn't you cut them off? And, I guess that's because maybe these people have never been in a situation of survival, where their needs weren't met, maybe. But situations like that, where there is an abuser and a victim, are so much more complex than that. And oftentimes it's a game of chess, right? It's a game of I give you just enough so that you stay, right? And I guess that it's because I've counseled so much of these situations over the years. I've been a professional tarot reader, and I can say that for sure. These situations are always more complex than they look like at the surface and for other people. Like sometimes there's a survival element to it. Sometimes it's the relationship that has this very complex, very deep, very high and low lows, or it take roots from so many years, right? And for me, having struggled with a kind of situation like that over last year in 2022, like I can say that for sure, that dealing with someone you used to care about or used to care for you, and now they're like now in that position that is being abusive towards you, it's never just as easy as cut them off, right? Especially when there are other dilemmas around that are also going to affect us, like it was the case for me. So, if I would have abandoned that person, a whole other platter of problems would have plagued me. And it was very hard. So I know what it's like to feel like your back is really against the wall here and like you have no options, just a better option out of all of the worst case scenarios, right? And having to deal with that kind of blackmail, like I really, really understand that. This heavy pentacles energy is really talking to me about what you had to lose physically or materially to survive this trauma, pile 3. So this could definitely be talking about some kind of sexual abuse or financial scheme or just blackmailing situation. I keep getting that. Like, you have to give me what I want in exchange because I've helped you. Huh? I've took care of you. And I provided for you, maybe. And now, because of that, you're my property or you owe me. And that's what I keep getting here. This is kind of like your root chakra with this pentacles energy here that gets triggered by this trauma. A physical trauma like that will affect the root chakra. And our root chakra is associated with our ability to feel grounded, with our ability to feel safe and secure in this life and in the reality that we are experiencing. And if we don't feel safe in our life, it can completely overthrow everything else we're trying to do. It can overthrow our mental health, our relationships, our ability to even find joy in this life. And I feel that this situation here has completely overthrown your root chakra as you were really not feeling safe around this individual or in this situation, having to do what you had to do just to stay afloat. And now it's this fear of, what if this happened again? And I have to subject myself to this kind of situation again. This Eight of Swords could even be saying that some of you, in order to survive this period of your life, you may have had to numb yourself. You see how this character is kind of cut off from their hands, from their sense of sight, from their senses. You may have had to check out from your physical body, from yourself on a physical level, but also mentally with the swords and emotionally maybe. This is very tough. This is very tough to talk about. I tend to find that, especially when a trauma involves physical discomfort or physical pain, it often tends to lead us to teach ourselves how to check out from our bodies for a while for survival, right? And that's why it's a whole rehabilitation process to get back inside of our bodies after this kind of trauma and to learn to trust in our body again, to be comfortable in our body again. Maybe that you had to check out from this reality to stop being so affected by it while it was happening to you because you had to in order to survive that moment, in order to get through it. And I get that. And it was making you feel so sick to have to subdue yourself in this way or to let yourself, let your life, your vessel be sold in this way or be taken over in this way. And that's because you were picking up on that person's demon. Pile 3, that person's inner demons. One thing for sure, you guys know what it's like to live in the anxiety of not knowing if one day you will have to go without or will have nothing left to protect yourself. Man, let's take a look at your healing oracle cards, you guys. We have here persona. We have the journey. Yes, this is going to be a journey to open that door back again, right? To let someone in again. We have here the card Say Yes, and it comes from my Inner Child Oracle deck. And it says here, now is the time to open up and receive. It may be somewhat unnerving, but if we are not open to the many things in life, they might pass us by. Practice saying yes to what you know will stretch you. Things you might be a little unsure of. There is abundance all around us. Sometimes we just need to make space for it to appear. Okay. And we have here control. Do you guys see that? Do you see that, guys? Like, I swear, those oracle cards have been scary today. And how they were matching the tarot messages. Wow. And we have here respect. I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna keep these two last ones for the end. But pile 3, you guys have been through so much ego dissolution in this lifetime with this card of the persona here and the journey. And that kind of ego dissolution where we have to completely let go of our persona, of our boundaries, of our possessions, of our physical needs. It's this kind of ego dissolution is a big trauma here on this earth, in my opinion, because we're not supposed to experience that in a human lifetime. That's in my own theory anyway. In this human lifetime, we came to experience ego. And that's not the only thing we came to experience, because we also came to experience our spirit and contrast of that. But we also came to experience ego and experience with the ego. And that's something that I always say, and that's why I don't believe in denouncing the ego in the spiritual journey as being the source of, all troubles and evil in this lifetime. Like, it surely can be a great source of evil. And I do feel that you guys have seen it at play and have lived it with that other person that was totally consumed in the toxic side of their own ego. But ego dissolution is not what we came to experience here as humans living in this physical material reality. Because the truth of the matter is that in this realm, we are bound by a body with physical needs, with physical limitations, and we need our ego to survive here. That's the function of the ego. The ego is our survival mechanism. It's our fight or flight response, right? Without it, we wouldn't have any limits. We wouldn't have any sense of, where others' stuff finish and where our stuff begins, right? We have no sense of kind of identity here. So we wouldn't have any limits. We wouldn't know right from wrong. We would just live in our animal instinct, right? But animals are here to have their own experience that is particular to them. And us humans, we are here to have a human experience with the ego and the dual nature of this world. And that's a conversation for another day. I'm kind of straying away here, but I wonder if some of you could have a 12th house south node or a 6th house south node, maybe a Pisces or Virgo south node. It's not necessary, by the way, for this reading to still resonate, but I'm picking up here that you're someone in touch with pain like no other soul here, and you may have experienced lifetimes of ego dissolution where your ego, the thing that keeps you alive, and a fight or flight part of you had to completely dissolve out of being the victim to something or someone else. And I feel that it is out of that ego dissolution that you suffered great losses here. With the 6 of Pentacles, this 4 of Pentacles here. Not just in this lifetime, but possibly in others too. So this could be a trauma that kind of got transferred from a past life here. But it may have played out differently than it has played in this current one, though, for you in a past life, pile 3. But for you guys had heavy experiences falling under the control, right, of other people's ego. And other people using their strong ego to fragilize and break yours. And I feel that your healing journey here has to do with resolidifying that ego part of you because that's what will help you walk in this life feeling secure, feeling safe, feeling like you have a sense of self esteem, of pride, of self respect, of identity. And I feel that it will also help you raise healthy boundaries and protections around you without completely avoiding or cutting yourself away or numbing yourself with this Eight of Swords that came out here for you. I'm just going to put this card on top here because it's such an important part of your reading, this card here. It will also help you find back a sense of normalcy here in your life, in the afterlife of this trauma, right? And the transformation part of it. And it's funny because this card here of say yes, well, actually, I'm picking up that reconstructing your ego for you may have been about learning how to say no, actually. How to say enough, how to place your foot down and fight for yourself. But because this card is here, about saying yes, I also feel that once you have learned that and have become comfortable with that, that it was okay for you to say no, the second part of your healing journey will be about opening up again, right? Like the door here that is opening and learning how to say yes again when you truly, absolutely mean it. When you feel that yes is in your heart and in your body and in your nervous system, because trauma affects our nervous system, right? So the second part of your healing process will have you become comfortable with learning how to actually be comfortable again. Like it sounds ironic, but it's literally that. And how to conjure up that sense, of safety inside of you when you know that something isn't a threat. And when you know that you are safe, like yes, you are safe. Yes, you can trust in this. Let's see your last oracle cards, you guys. We have here egotism, and that's Leo and Mars in the fifth house. Yeah, I was talking about that, you guys. I was talking about the ego. So that's interesting that this astrological placement has sort of came out for you. And we have here Jupiter in Cancer. It says speculation, and that's the fourth house energy. So the fourth house, the house of security, of roots, and of stability. This is coming through again. So with this kind of speculation, I don't know as well if you had to deal with the sort of disbelief of some people around you when you have tried to expose this person or expose the situation or talk about it. Maybe that for some of you, what has hurt you the most out of this situation is people not even siding with you or not taking you seriously when you really needed other resources. But yeah, persona, ego, control. This trauma had you confront the darkness of the ego of others, pile 3. And I feel that your healing journey has to do with reconstructing a healthy relationship with your ego, and experiencing ego from a completely different, healthier spectrum. It will have to do with solidifying your ego again and rebuilding your ego that has been destroyed by others. And I feel that working with the root chakra and healing it, because this keeps coming through here in your reading, like your ability to feel secure and safe, and like you are someone with your place here and with a voice here and with rights here, is what this journey into your new life is all about. Because when we are a recovering survivor, of trauma, our future can feel like this entirely new journey that is such a mystery because we have to get to know and get accustomed to our life again. When we lived in our trauma for so long and in the survival for so long, it can feel like a rehabilitation process to just learn how to live normally outside of that. Because it's like we have to get to know ourselves from an entirely new spectrum now. We have to get to know our personality and our wants from a different place now. Not from fear and not from the wounded part of us, but from our potential and what we could be outside of our pain. And that takes a long time to do. So definitely be gentle, be patient with yourself. This person here was completely enveloped in their ego and they chose their ego over their soul. And it's with that ego that they tried to control you. I keep getting that they controlled you with power or with money, or it's like they took advantage of like your position of disadvantage over them. And this part of your life could really make you feel grossed out somehow. Like it could really make you feel ashamed too. And there are no reasons for you to be, because it's this person that should feel ashamed, not you. And so it's really not fair that life had to stop for you. And this person's life got to continue on without a proper smackdown, from their high chair, and without a proper humbling lesson of humility and what it means to respect the sacredness of another person's life, or of another person's consent, of another person's needs. Let me just say, Pal 3, that this ego reconstruction and healing will happen for you because you are the one that is meant to pick yourself up from this dark place here of the Eight of Swords. You're the one that came to save yourself out of this place that made you feel like nothing will ever change. You came back for your soul and to pick yourself out of this terrifying place that makes you feel paralyzed here, and be the one that will tell yourself that you're going to be okay now, that you're safe now, that you can come out of this sort of closet type of self-protective, self-preserving space now that you had to climb up into in order to survive your environment, right? And in order to keep yourself protected through this. That's the thing about trauma, is that it takes a long time to bring ourselves to trust in our sense of safety again. It takes you dipping your toes, right, slowly in the water a couple of times before you can truly come to relax. It's a process. And this process takes a lot of courage and strength to keep going. With a weakened ego, it's very hard for our energy to heal, because in order to heal, we have to feel safe enough. That's the thing. So I feel that it's really important to not get upset with yourself as well, because I also feel that back in that time, if there would have been any other options, you would have really taken it. And I feel that right now, it could be really difficult for you, my pal 3, to place yourself in a position where you can feel vulnerable again, or weakened again, or have to ask for help. And it's because you've been really seriously taken advantage of in the past. And you don't want to have to go through another experience ever like that, where you feel obliged to someone else, or where you feel bound to someone else that has the upper hand, or the position of control, or that is holding you in a checkmate sort of position here. And I feel that gaining your own independence in your life as well will feel very freeing and healing for you, pal 3. Financial equality as well. This is something I'm really getting with all of these pentacles and this fourth house energy here that came out for you, right? With the Six of Pentacles as well that was there. This will help you gain back a sense of control over your resources, over your reality. And if you're not in that position right now yet, pal 3, then go to your spirit team about it and ask them to help you with that and to protect you while you do this transition towards that. But working with your root chakra, working with also your plexus solar, because the plexus solar is the seat of our ego and identity, will tremendously help you. It will give you back that sense of control over your life, and it's going to also repair the respect in yourself, in your body, in your value that was broken or taken away by someone else. So, pal 3, I know that this reading wasn't a magic pill, right? But I still hope that it could be the starting point for a deeper introspection and healing process. And I want to thank you so much for having shared sacred space with me today. And I hope that we will cross paths soon again. If some of you have been interested to also take a look at my work and maybe book a private reading with me, the link through all of that will be down below in the description box, as well as my social medias if you just want to keep in touch with me. And otherwise, I shall see you all soon in the next video. Bye bye, you guys. Hello, Pal 4, and welcome to your reading. So let's go on ahead and take a look at this trauma energy that your spirit has been trying to get rid of. And then after that, in the second section of the reading, we'll jump ahead in your oracle cards to get some healing messages for you today. So yeah, let's get started and see you guys, what you guys have gotten. So we are starting here with the card of death. Then we have the Seven of Wands. I just felt like using my Rider-Waite Smith deck today, guys. I don't know, it just felt right for this reading. Now we have here Temperance reversed. And then finally we have the Six of Swords. So I feel like this is pretty straightforward, but I feel already a lot of ruminating about the past that I'm picking up about my file for. It's like a part of your spirit is still holding on tightly to something that it's not ready to let go, not fully, with the Seven of Wands here. And the crazy part about my pile 4 is that some of you may think that you're over something, but you aren't fully, because otherwise the Seven of Swords wouldn't be here. This energy of frustration, right? This anger, this strong emotional charge that would still kind of attach you back to this situation. It's like there is an ending maybe with this card of death that you could still be fighting against still this day. Or it's never, it's like you never truly moved on from it with a Six of Swords and Temperance reverse here. It's like this process, right, of recovery, of healing has not fully finished. So it's like you've picked up your pain with you because you did not accept the loss or this ending over here with this deck card. You know, with the Seven of Wands, it's like trying to argue with death or trying to fight off death, trying to fight against death, right? And trying to win. It's like trying to defy death. And pile 4, I'm going to be very straightforward because there is the energy of someone else coming through here. And this reading with Temperance reversed, I can just feel it. It's like their spirit is coming to me here in this reading. And I don't know if this is someone who has passed on because of this card of death here, or maybe that this is just someone that you have no contact with anymore. Maybe you've never met this person even. That could be the case. And maybe that they're still alive for some of you, but it's like this person's higher self is coming through to me here. And they are saying, you've got to let it go. You've got to let me go. So I don't know if some of you felt abandoned by this person in question that this reading could be talking about, and maybe that you are very frustrated at them for having left you to deal with everything that you had to deal with on your own with the Seven of Wands. It's like you haven't accepted this abandonment, is what it feels like. This almost feels like a stage of grief that you have been in and that is difficult to move on from, right? It's like you are not ready to forgive. It's like you still hold or harbor resentment towards this. You know how they say that there are many stages to grief? And I mean, I know it's not just a saying because I've been there multiple times too, but you know, they say that there's a shock phase, there's a depression phase, then there's the anger phase, the guilt phase, the numbness phase. There's also the acceptance phase. And then sometimes there's also going to be a moment of bargain phase, kind of, where we're going to try to make a deal with God in exchange of our pain being taken away. And what I'm seeing here is some sort of resentment type of energy or bitter energy. It's kind of like that anger phase that your spirit never snap out of. It's still, very triggered by that because it's like you won't forgive that this person has let you down somewhere, or for having abandoned you, or for having walked away from you. With a Six of Swords here, it could also be the anger feeling like you could have done more. Maybe that some of you are not angry at this person per se, but at yourself, because you maybe wish that you could have done more to prevent this loss, maybe, or to prevent this ending, or to prevent this abandonment from happening, maybe. But there's no stopping to an energy like the one of death. And when we try to fight death or resist death, in my experience, it's always going to end up very ugly, because death is going to come through anyway, but it's going to come through in a way where it's much more painful, and where we have not as much control over or say over what is happening. And you guys have been losing a lot of energy here with the of Wands, fighting a battle that you're not even meant to win. And as you keep holding on to the anger or to the frustration or to your resistances to let this go, it keeps you agonizing over this event that is already dead, right? It's already in the past and it has already happened. It's not going to come back again. And it keeps harming you. And as long as you keep harming yourself over this, or keep harboring some sort of resentment towards this, it's like you keep punishing yourself over this. And the healing process is just delayed here, is what this Temperance reverse is saying. The transformation process is just delayed. And that's the thing about death. Death never takes anything from us and from this world without growing something back from it or with it. But this transformation process takes a bit of time. And when we resist it, or when we try to fight it off, that's when it can feel like the loss we have went through has been for nothing, like it has no meaning. That's when we are like, why the hell did I lose this for? There was no point to me losing this. Or there was no point, for this to happen to me, for this death to occur, for this tragedy to happen to me. But when we are in that phase where it's so unfair, right, that this tragedy has happened and there's no reason for it, there's no light at the end of it, where death has just no meaning, there's no point to it, that's a sign we haven't healed yet. That's a sign that this transformation process hasn't fully taken place yet. And like I've said, I have been there before. Like I've been so frustrated to death before. And I remember at a point of my life where I just fell down on my knees and I asked Kali, I asked Spirit, what was the point to it all? Why I was doing this all for and suffering in this way for? Why did this person that died in my life had to go? And I screamed and I cursed. I cursed at the universe. But I really needed that moment. I remember very clearly understanding from Kali at that point that there was indeed no purpose or meaning to my pain or to my loss and to my grief if I wasn't willing to make one out of it myself. And that's when I realized that these things weren't given to us. Like, loss can be very accidental and pointless when we decide to make it so, when we decide to think of it in this way. But there are two kinds of people in this world, Pal 4. There are people that let life happen to them, and there are these people that turn the tragedies into a purpose, into a reason to fight for something or to live another day, to keep going. And I get the sense that you are ready to do that. If you are on this reading today, you're ready to do that. Like your spirit is ready. And there's a nail here that never was put in a coffin of this event. And a couple of things, and that's why it kind of like transferred into some kind of traumatic somatic experience. And a couple of things here are coming to me. Some of you could have lost a loved one, like a parent or a life partner that was going at this life with you, and maybe that them leaving you have had you deal with a lot of things you weren't supposed to have to deal with. at the age where that happened in your life, or in the life situation that you were in, whatever this could be. And it could have felt like this person literally gave up on you somehow. And then some of you could have felt abandoned as well by a parent that left at a very young age, or maybe that you never knew this parent. Maybe you felt like you've been given up on, or maybe that this person just left at a very, very critical, turning point of your life. And that's why it's so, you know, difficult to forgive them. And then maybe that this person never left physically your life for some of you, but maybe that they left you on your own to have to fend for yourself or take care of yourself. Maybe that this person had a family with someone else that they prioritized over you, or maybe that they were busy living their life, or maybe that they just weren't in the capacity even to be able to take care of you. So maybe that this person had some kind of like mental health problems or addiction problems, or maybe that they were just very absent and disengaged. Maybe that they left you to take care of your siblings on your own, or of your children on your own if it was a spouse, or maybe that they left you without a home or without financial support. And that's why it's so frustrating. It's like, I shouldn't have to take care of that. Why wouldn't you step up, in your role and your responsibilities? I shouldn't have had to do that. And I was obliged to do it because you wouldn't stick around, because you were a coward, or because you have given up on us, or because you had your life to take care of elsewhere, right? With the Six of Swords. And it feels very unfair. One thing for sure, my pal 4 know what it's like to be left all alone to take care of things. You know what it feels like to be left on your own, to be abandoned, to be let down by people. And this abandonment could have been physical, it could have been emotional. Like abandonment trauma can happen anytime we have felt severely neglected in our life, whether physically or emotionally. And it can manifest in many different ways to many different people too. And especially if it happened early on in your life, where you were still kind of forming your idea and your trust of people and of the world, of the people that were around you in your life, when you were still in that very vulnerable place in your life, it can impact our future severely. And maybe that you still blame this individual for the way that your life turned out because of them. And what you bow for, it's really this feeling of being left behind. With the Seven of Wands and the Six of Swords, it's this feeling of, you have left me all alone to fight off these six other people here, like on the Seven of Wands. It's like being thrown to the wolves, right? And you got away by yourself, or with these people here on that boat. And you didn't even brought me with you. You didn't even look back. You didn't even think about me and what you were leaving me to deal with. And pile 4, I hope that you don't think that this is any of your fault, because it's not. Because that person couldn't stick around or show up for you the way that they were supposed to, or because they had given up on themselves and on their life, wasn't any of your fault. Let's take a look at your healing oracle cards, you guys. We have here the card of Sacred Space. Then we have Clarity. Then next up we have the card of Choice. Then we have here Flow. And finally, we have from my Inner Child Oracle deck, we have Keep Your Word. And it says here, our inner child has always been sensitive to a promise broken, a desire disregarded, and a hope lost. It is paramount that we show consistency with ourselves and do what we say we will do, particularly when it involves our inner child. Start with something easy and practice consistency by keeping your word today. Yeah, I feel like this person didn't keep their word, right? I feel like this is the problem here. There was a promise that was broken here. That's why there's like such a difficulty to move on. It's like so unnatural, maybe, right? That this promise was not held, maybe, and you don't understand why. How could that happen? It's like you feel like this person let down their promises with you, or like they failed you. And what I'm getting here is that some of you guys have trouble leaving this situation to rest because it's like you have never really gotten the answers that you were looking for with this kind of clarity. It's like you were left so confused and with so many questions, but no clarity. You're still looking to find some closure, and it's hard to do that when you don't even know what caused this individual to leave your life the way that they did so abruptly, or at the time where you needed them to be there the most, right? When you needed someone the most. They were in the moment of what was happening around them, and they have let themselves be transported by that. That's what I'm getting here with this card of flow. And that's the neglect here that you feel. You may have felt like this person had just given up because they had stopped trying somewhere. But that was the choice that they made here with this card of choice. That's the choice that they have made for themselves and for their lives, Pal 4. And I feel that you have to accept this person's choice about their own life, as hard as it is. Maybe that this person was just trying to relieve themselves of everything that they were feeling. Flow to me is talking about emotions, flowing with the current of how you feel. You remember when I said earlier that there were like two types of people, those that let life happen to them and those that make a conscious choice to change things and embrace transformation. I feel like for some of you, this person just had a lot of guilt to live with. Like, I don't know why, but the word guilt is coming to me here. Maybe that they felt inadequate or like they had failed you already or something like that. And when we start to flow in or give in to that type of emotional current that is guilt, that's when we start to neglect everything around us. And I've seen it happen with someone in my life before. That's when we start to neglect people, to neglect our environment, to even neglect ourselves. And it's interesting because I read a quote the other day, and this quote was saying, "You inspire me to be nothing like you." And this quote came back to me here with this card, "Keep your word." Like, I feel that a part of your healing lies in not repeating the same mistakes that this person did with you, Paul 4, and not becoming who this person was. It may have inspired you, for that in this way. And that's for those of you who have undergone neglect, by the way. Obviously, it might not resonate with everybody in here, but that's definitely something that I'm getting for those of you who have left completely behind by someone. But a lot of the answers that you have never gotten are meant to be found while you are in sacred space, Pal 4, while you are meditating or journaling or contemplating on this, or while you're having therapy on this with someone else. This is there in sacred space as well, that you will be able to release a lot of this stress that has been harboring inside of your system surrounding the impact of that event. And I don't know if some of you have been resisting dwelling back on this chapter of your life, maybe digging back the grave. Maybe because you want to move on, right? You really want to leave this behind you. But actually, in order to release, we have to revisit our past sooner or later. We have to confront our trauma regularly. If we avoid it or try to find a shortcut around it when it's triggered, that's actually another way of holding on to it. Because then we're saying, I'm not ready to feel what I feel. I'm not ready to revisit that place from a different mind state or emotional state. And that's okay. Sometimes you won't be ready for any of that. Sometimes you won't even be in the mental, emotional state to be able to do that. But if you have listened to the intro of this video, then you probably heard me say that I believe that trauma is our soul hurting. I do feel that trauma is a wound that has transferred into the soul layer of ourselves, because there are many layers to the being that we are. And when a hurt has transferred into the soul, that's like the deepest layer it can reach. That's why I think, in my opinion, as a spiritual counselor anyway, just from my own experience, but That's why I think that trauma takes such a long time to process out of our system. When it's registered like that in our nervous system and in our soul, it takes a lot of time to recuperate from it. And when we heal, there's going to be that period of time initially where we actually have to hold on to that energy, where we have to focus and spend a lot of time with that wounded part of our hurt. And that's how I felt that you guys were at with the Seven of Wands. So far, you have stayed a lot in your pain and in the combat of this. But what I'm getting here with this Temperance reverse is that you're spending too much time now in that space. And that's what is becoming dangerous. You're spending too much time harboring around the hurt part of the trauma. And if you don't eventually pull yourself out of that wounded state, of that angry state, you can start to attach to the pain and attach to the trauma. And then when the trauma becomes a part of our identity, it can become very difficult to live without it or outside of it. Because then it's like, who am I without the pain, right? Let's see your last oracle cards, you guys. We have here the card of patience, and that's Jupiter and Virgo in the 6th house. And then we have Saturn and Pisces, loss. That's the 12th house energy. Oh my God, some of you could definitely have a Saturn in Pisces or Saturn in a 12th house, maybe. You're not obliged to, of course, but I'm saying that because people with that placement, it's going to be very hard for them to deal with losses. There are going to be a lot of karmic contracts in this lifetime with losses and death. And we have a card of death in your reading. So, and Pisces and Saturn, Saturn in the 12th house, takes a very scorpionic energy, actually, where sympathy and sacrifice can become very big karmic contracts. And it's interesting because we have this Virgo energy here. And Virgo and Pisces, they live on the same spectrum. They are both opposite signs. And so for me personally, I view opposite signs like the two different sides to the same coin. So it's like they're going to live in parallel of each other or experience the same type of things, but from a completely different angle or spectrum. So yeah, for you, Pal 4, it's going to be very important to, first of all, be patient with yourself and with your healing process. But second of all, to make sure that your patience doesn't turn into attachment with the loss, an attachment with the pain and with the hurt, because that's what Saturn and Pisces can struggle with. Actually, it can be a very tough lesson. When we spend too much time in the lost part of the trauma, it can create an attachment to the trauma. And this 12th house energy in Pisces and Saturn is saying that you could be susceptible to that. And so this is definitely something that you have to watch out for in a healing process, because that's the thing about Pisces and Saturn. When Saturn enters Pisces, there's such a great understanding of the pain and of the suffering of the world and of others. But there's also a warning element to disability. And Saturn and Pisces can also come to really attach to the pain. So it's very important to not let this wound or this hurt become a part of your identity, because this abandonment is not who you are, Pal 4. It doesn't say anything about you. This is important because when we attach to our wounds so much, it can also lead us to subconsciously recreate an environment or situation where we invite it all over again in our life, as ironic as it sounds. If we attach to the fact that we have been abandoned in our life, we can invite this anxiety in our relationships back again and even nourish these very obsessive and intrusive thoughts that we will be abandoned all over again, even when we don't want to. And when we nourish something mentally so much, we end up giving those thoughts a life of their own. And that's where we reinvite the same pain over and over again. And it's almost like the universe is conspiring against us with a dark sense of humor, right? But actually, when we over attach to the pain or to our trauma, it becomes a karma, right? It's this Saturn energy. Saturn is the lord of karma. So it's really important to not transform the pain into a karma where your pain or your fears keep showing up into new forms each time inside of your life. So pulling yourself out of the part of the healing process that allow you to sit still with the anger and the hurt is the most difficult part of the healing process in my own experience with it, because pain can be such a strong identity factor, actually, a lot more than anything else. And I know that it sounds strange, but people get so very attached in this lifetime with their suffering body, as I always like to call it, because it gives us a feeling of not being alone, right? When there's a word to put on our suffering, when there's a label for it, or when there's a community around it, other people that suffer the same pains as us, right? It can create a sense of identity and belonging. And sometimes it's going to be very healing. And other times, if you get too attached to it, it can start to become detrimental because then you start to merge with the event. And then it becomes very difficult to let it go and to become something else outside of it. That's why I think it's so difficult for so many people on this earth to disassociate and let go of the ancestral karmic wounds they've inherited, right? Or to let go of the collective traumas they've picked up on, right? Early on in this life that they have inherited, you know, or have been educated upon. Some sort of painful process is done here for you, pal 4. And so you don't have to hold on to it, so fiercely anymore for your dear life anymore, right? You can let it go. That's what I'm hearing for you. The crisis part is over. The fighting part is over. So this is about pulling yourself out of this space and adjusting to your new reality and accepting this. And if you aren't ready yet, that's okay. But those days in your life are winding down, and soon you will be called to pull yourself out of this. I don't want to say be ready for this because most of us won't be ready for this kind of thing anyway, if I'm being honest. But often it's a calling where it's like, okay, I've spent so much time in that space. It's time that I shake myself out of it. And it's going to feel like a calling like that, you know? Pal 4. I know that this reading wasn't bandage on the wound, right? But I hope that this reading could still be the starting point for a deeper introspection and healing process. And I want to thank you so much for having shared sacred space with me today. And I hope that we will cross paths soon again. If some of you have been interested to take a look at my work or maybe book a private reading with me, the links to all of that will be down below in the description box, as well as my social medias if you want to keep in touch with me. And otherwise, I shall see you all soon in the next video. Bye bye, you guys.